Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I want to make sure you understand the importance of John Deaton's book. I tweeted about it, and he did his Twitter Spaces live yesterday, and he announced that he had written a book. Also, he had other announcements. I'll cover one of those in a second. But the importance of this book is two, and the reason I'm talking about it is twofold. First is it tells John's story, and he's a friend of mine, and so I want to make sure that everybody reads where John came from. He's helped a lot of you that are listening to my voice. But the other part of this that a lot of people aren't even thinking about is that in this book, John talks about decentralized justice and the whole, whatever you want to call it, ETH gate, whatever. And the more people that see this book, the bigger this book gets, the more it's going to help the whole cause that all of us have been into. And so I'm going to put a link to his book. I'm not financially involved in this at all. I just think it's important to get this book out there, and I think we could make it the #1 bestseller on Amazon if we really push it. So I've already ordered my copy. It was number 17 in memoirs in the biography category on Amazon this morning. Britney Spears is in number 3. Come on, who's more important to us here, Britney Spears or John Deaton? Come on. Stephen Narioff had retweeted this, said, "Thank you, John Deaton. I look forward to the real truth coming out." John says, "As I said on the live stream, there's no free pass for the truth. It must have its day. I've had people on crypto law who have been critical or disagreed with me. I'm always civil and respectful. I'm inviting Vitalik, Joe Lubin, and Steve to come on live where nothing can be cut or manipulated, and we will get to the truth." And John said, actually I'll cover it right here. Yasin Mubarak retweeted Fred Rispoli's tweet. Fred had said, "To be clear, attorney-client privilege means," because John said that he had attorney-client privilege with Stephen Narioff. Attorney-client privilege means there's an executed engagement agreement between John Deaton and Stephen Narioff. Some expressed disappointment at the announcement, but you really need to consider the next level implications here. Very big things to come. And Yasin Mubarak, he's right over the target quite often, actually. And I actually met Yasin when I was in California. Really nice guy. This means Stephen Narioff has retained the legal services of John Deaton. A lawsuit or a legal filing by John on behalf of Stephen might come soon. This would be better than any legal drama you watch on TV. Get the popcorn ready. You're darn right. Now, I had asked yesterday, I had told Stephen Narioff here that I would love to sip a glass of wine and hear his thoughts on the video, Vitalik and his dad, when they were on Laura Shin. And he said, he did reply, he says, this is a father-son coordinated script character assassination to make me their fall guy. Vitalik's dad's name's Dimitri. Animated storytelling of not being concerned about the SEC during our May 2018 meeting has been exposed by the Hinman emails as a lie. Or was it a diversion tactic? Vitalik Buterin falsely accused me of committing a huge amount of fraud. Or was he just taking away attention from himself? And a court of law doesn't care about his reputation points for his noble friend or him, convicted of helping North Korea evade sanctions, though he reverted to form and saw the error of his loyal ways eventually. And this is a quote from the article he included here. Buterin unleashed a series of tweets to defend Griffith on Sunday, repelling reports he distanced himself and subsequently threw his arrested friend under the bus. And he finishes with a hashtag Crypto Judas, hashtag Crypto Leech. Wow. I don't know if he's saying that Vitalik's Judas and his dad is a leech. I'm not sure what the deal is there. And then his attorney replied to the video too, Michael Scotto. And he says, how about maybe she interview him today and ask why they lied about Steve's role in Ethereum and why Vitalik hasn't replied to Steve's messages after we proved Steven was framed and he was cleared. Never mind, we know why. Hashtag stay tuned. All right, so this is getting real interesting. I have a feeling that this is going to be really fun. Then Wheezy posted this video. This is Ethereum co-founder on Ethereum transparency. Interesting listen, says the foundation is against releasing the list of names of early contributors who were allocated millions of Ether.
Not to harp on this, but I kind of want to come back to this, the question that you didn't want to answer. You don't need to tell me an answer to it, but maybe you could explain some context to why it's a touchy question or why it's inappropriate. The question about whether Vitalik was wrong in deciding to allocate millions of Ether to early contributors. I mean, I literally have no idea why that's an unanswerable question. Just because I'm naive.
Simply because there is a thread on Reddit at the moment which discussed this, and I've made my position clear as to various things. But the problem is, like many things in this world, they're not necessarily directly related to this particular point, but more to other administrative matter which we're trying to address at the moment. And because we're trying to address them at the moment, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to discuss them. Now, when that's addressed, then I'll be more than happy to address it. Simple as that.
I mean, I kind of understand, but like at the same time, it seems sort of like a non-transparent defense. And I think of Ethereum as this like highly, almost religiously transparent platform. So could you give any more insight as to why you can't answer that?
Sure, because I personally believe that list should have been made public and transparent, and clearly I'm overruled in that topic as part of the organization. So I personally, I'm totally agreeing with you here. I personally think all the names should be public. I'm on that list, by the way, so I'm cool with that. By the way, none of the reason also why it's a bit of a non-issue is because none of this Ether has been sort of taken out, if you will, from the Ethereum pre-sale, right? It's all been generated on top of, so nobody's got, their Ether taken for someone else and whatever. This is not the case at all. It's more about, how do you address transparent governance? And as I said on that thread on Reddit, forgot my exact words, but I said it was one of those what's the word? That's not reference. It's, one of those topics that people will go back on and study as how good of a job we did in being transparent. And I think we can always do a better job in being transparent. I mean, I'm for complete 100% total.
Well, Joseph Lubin practices internal transparency, is what he said. But Steven Narioff replied to this, and he says, I'm one of the only people who has the list of ETH given out to contributors. Exposing this list publicly could endanger many honest, well-intentioned people who worked on Ethereum. All documents are stored in many places with multiple lawyers, land others, so they're safe. And I won't ever be the bottleneck. He says bottleneck. He doesn't want to be a target, and so he's letting the world know that it's all spread out. And he doesn't control it. It's controlled by multiple people. Wow. Now, so for me, I have to thank Steven Narioff, but because just having him there to answer questions that we've been wanting the answers to is huge. It's so here's one of the questions that I'm asking him publicly today. And that is, do you remember the Ethereum shadow government? This is one of the most bizarre turns in this whole ETHgate mess. Laura Shin wrote a book. What was it called? The Cryptopians or something like that. She wrote a book, and of course she didn't cover ETHgate in the book, but because she's been carrying the narrative and the water for these guys for a long time, and also has been one of those that attacked Ripple the whole time. There are no coincidences, folks. So this was something that she said while on her book tour.
Folks of the Ethereum Foundation who kind of controlled
This is their sound, not mine. You got to listen close.
Things in the background, but were never really named. How did you even find these people, and what is their power over the Ethereum Foundation?
Yeah, so this is toward the latter part of the book, but a lot of people also talked about what they call the shadow government of the Ethereum Foundation. And it's different people who wield a lot of influence, or at least at that time, because so my book ends in early 2018. So kind of in probably the 2017 era, this shadow government started, and there were a lot of people that were wielding influence in Ethereum, in the foundation, but were not necessarily people with official roles. And so a lot of people said to me, this is going on, and, we don't like it for these reasons. And what's interesting is the people that were named as being kind of the big power players in this shadow government, it was fascinating. People would be scared to even mention their names to me. They would be scared to say that they had even just been at an event, not even that they'd been doing anything at the event, but just that they'd been there witnessing something, historic. So, people were, they seemed frightened of them, which was fascinating. And even, I mentioned this, so I am giving maybe a few spoilers, but when I asked Vitaly about one of them, he whistled, like he was just surprised that I mentioned the name, or just uneasy about it, or I don't know, but that was his response. So, clearly there's something.
Well, there was a lot of concern about, is Ethereum sufficiently decentralized if Vitalik has so much power over the foundation? And
Okay, sorry, I got interrupted, and the reason I was interrupted is because my Miles Franklin gold order arrived. UPS was at the door.
I don't know, but that was his response. So
I'm opening it now.
Yeah, clearly there's something.
Well, there was a lot of concern about, is Ethereum sufficiently decentralized if Vitalik has so much power over the foundation? And I asked you this before, but maybe you can give your thoughts again.
Yeah, actually my personal opinion is that it actually is, but only because Ethereum is so big now that I do feel that if the foundation went away, people would figure out some other way to organize to keep the development going.
They've got I'm sitting here opening my Miles Franklin gold order. They've got it wrapped in this, it's like taped and wrapped into this like bubble wrap stuff. And I'm sitting here trying to get into it. You hear the popping? My son would love this stuff. Ugh. All right, let's see. Oh man, now it's taped again. Okay. Well, I'll do this while we continue. All right. So I'm gonna skip that one because I want to show you this. This guy, Truth Lab, says, I'll be shocked if Satoshi Nakamoto didn't have direct. Listen, are you addicted to these? You have to pop them all, right? I'll be shocked if Satoshi Nakamoto didn't have direct or very close ties to MIT. Remember was it the GitHub for Bitcoin was at MIT? I'm going to get into this gold one way or another, folks. There it is. I got it now. So then we've got this. I said we're surrounded by lies and liars because the MIT, the Bitcoin, I think it's the GitHub that I'm trying to say was there. All right. But this, we've all heard the video of the Homeland Security saying that the four Satoshis, that they had heard the four Satoshis, that they had met with the four Satoshis. Well, this is a lesser known clip that I put out a while back where it's proof that while the Homeland Security agents was saying that at this conference, there were two SEC personnel there. So that means that they know who the four Satoshis are, or they know that the person that's given the speech. So my question is this: how do you designate Bitcoin a commodity because there's no common enterprise if you know where the four common enterprises are? And you've just been told that someone on stage knows who it is, and you're not going to go and talk to the four common enterprises? This is a sham. Listen to this.
But in all seriousness, I think this was the best demonstration that I could come up with is how cryptocurrency works. This is not going to be a technical explanation. Maybe the guy from SEC, Martin, right? No? You don't want to do a technical explanation of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or the blockchain? I do want to say that both of these folks are government employees, SEC and Homeland Security, so anything that I say certainly does not reflect upon them or their agency, because I want them to keep their jobs and, have wonderful careers. But in all seriousness, I think this was the best demonstration that I could come up with is how cryptocurrency.
Oh yes, I'm holding a gold buffalo. Boy, it feels good. Physical gold is a nice thing, folks. Then I was showing this. When I was growing up, the media would be beating down the doors of a Steve Nerioff to get the scoop when they smelled a story like ETHgate. Now their media bosses tell them to stand down. You're not allowed to cover that story. How is this different than the Soviet Union or the CCP? It's not different. Look at this. This right here, many of you are too young to remember, but there was a thing called Watergate. That's why we named ETHgate. Watergate was when President Nixon had sent his men into the Watergate Hotel to break in, and I can't even remember what they were trying to get, but they broke into the hotel to some room or whatever, and it became known as Watergate, and Nixon eventually literally left office. Woodward and Bernstein, Bob Woodward and I don't remember the Bernstein guy's first name, but they became famous for uncovering this story, okay? And that was back when we had investigative journalism in this country, and the media, their job, which it should be now, was to go and investigate the facts and get to the truth for their audience. Now we have people that it's no different than a media that is dispatched from the government only to cover what the government wants them to cover. That's what we're dealing with now. And these people ought to be ashamed of themselves. Every single one of them that is not covering this. Nobody's left off the list, folks. But most of them aren't ashamed, and that's the even sadder truth. Gold spot ETF launched. Then this happened. This is very important, folks. This is very important for everybody listening to my voice to see. That's what happened to gold after the ETF launched. And for crypto, I think it's even bigger, because the ETF, I believe, will be the significant in that it will be when you know that the government crackdown is finally open. Because like Stephen Nerioff said, in so many words, this is not about killing crypto. Crypto's the prize. This is about gaining the prize, not killing it. Gary Gensler was sent to make sure that the incumbents, his buddies, his Wall Street buddies, get most of this industry, and that's what the crackdown's about. That's why Elizabeth Warren's cracking down. They're doing what they're told. Okay? Look at this right here, and because you can't forget this, and we've been sold a lie in this country, folks, and the lie is that inflation is just the normal part of things. We're just supposed to have it. It's a lie. There's not a reason in the world why a house in 1970 should cost $23,450, and now that same house should cost $400,000. Or the movie ticket's a great example. $1.55 in 1970. What's a movie ticket these days? Some crazy amount. $10, $15. When I was a kid, I think it was around $2 or so, $2.50, something like that. And now, 10, 15, whatever. You can't get out of the movie without spending $50 if you get butter popcorn, which is a necessity to me, and a Coke. I mean, it's crazy. This is because we were taken off the gold standard, and that's the fact, Jack. The new system will have gold as a part of it, and that's just the way it is. That's why you need to call Miles Franklin, my sponsor. It's going to have gold as a part of it. Here's what I think. Here's how this plays out in my mind. I believe that those of us that have discovered crypto, when all of this goes off, I believe there's going to be trillions and trillions that are dumped into crypto. And I think that the people that knew about it many of them will become wealthy in crypto money, But I think the really smart ones are going to take, once they gain all of that wealth, they're going to immediately take a lot of that wealth and dump it into hard real world assets, things like gold, paid for real estate, paid for land, things that really have value. I think the dumb ones will keep it all in crypto. Now, when it's all in crypto, there may be 1,000 different ways to make money off of your crypto. That's probably what they will do. But I just have a feeling that once the money's made, the money's made. And I think that if you're there now, you'll do quite well if you understand what you hold. But make no mistake, part of this whole plan by these people that are running this world, I'm telling you, I know it, is that they're going to continue. They're going to be putting the wealth that they derive from this back into hard assets, because there's a reason all these central banks are accumulating gold while they let you play around with Bitcoin and talk about Bitcoin, and they get their news friends to pump Bitcoin up. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Herd all the sheep in. You know the drill. Use code DAI Gold. You can email info@milesfranklin.com, or you can call 952-929-7006. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. Tell your friends and family. Miles Franklin's the place to do it. Thanks for listening.